Hello, I'm Holt Hanley, and today we're going to be talking about the major snowstorm that will move through the Northeast from January 25th to January 27th, seeing 20 inches of snowfall in some places. Let's get started. Alright, so starting January 25th, there's going to be a major snowstorm moving through the Northeast. This is pretty big news, and a lot of people are pretty excited about this right now because there really has not been much snow this entire winter, really for anybody. So diving into my screen here, we're going to look at just the total snowfall that we're going to see throughout this storm. This is looking at the GFS starting at about 6Z on January 25th. So as you can see, it starts to build in through Pennsylvania. This is by 12Z on January 25th. Pennsylvania could already have 8 to 9 inches of snowfall. And that's just the start of it. New York is already starting to see some of the snowfall. And then as we keep clicking through, by 6Z, January 26th, there's a spot in New York right about here that has probably around 16 to 18 inches of snowfall. Click through a couple more sections, and by 18Z on January 26th, you see it is now dark green in New York, probably around 20 to 22 inches, and then spots in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine also indicate places where there could be 20 inches of snowfall. So a pretty significant storm. Let's check it out in inches per hour so we can actually see it move through. So this is 6Z on the 25th, moving into 12Z on the 25th. You see where there's a separation of rain, a wintry mix, and then snowfall. So farther south is where you're going to have your rain, and also typically closer to the coast you're going to have rain because obviously farther south, warmer temperatures. And then closer to the coast, you get the influence of that warm Gulf current, and that's going to kind of moderate temperatures, so it's harder to get that snowfall accumulations that we're going to be seeing in New York. So here, the green right there indicates rain, that purple color is the wintry mix, and the blue is the snow. So you see it's moving through Pennsylvania. This is again 12Z on the 25th. Southern portions of the state are going to see that rain, whereas snow can start building up in the northern portions. Clicking through, we see New York start to get some snow, and that wintry mix kind of move into northern Pennsylvania. If they get some of the rain, that's probably going to melt any of the snow that did fall. Then this is when it really hits. This is 0Z on the 26th. So in New York time, sorry I didn't say this earlier, New York is 5 hours behind Z time. So 0Z on the 26th is actually 7 p.m. on the 25th for New York. So this is, I think, when the bulk of the storm is going to hit. This is, again, 7 p.m. on the 25th for the Northeast. You see very dark wintry mix over Massachusetts, kind of right in there. It's probably going to be moving in there. And then in New York, you see some pretty heavy snowfall rates. Again, this is in inches per hour. So looking at how dark blue some of these areas are in New York, that could be about 0.1 to 0.2 inches per hour of snowfall. And then, as you can imagine, as you click through, it moves off into the Atlantic Ocean, up into Canada, bringing in some snow for Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Now we've looked at where it's going to rain, where it's going to snow, and the timing of those events. Now let's look at why it's actually going to happen. So the first thing I like to look at is the 250 millibar winds. This gives you a good idea of where Arctic air is going to be getting pulled down, and a good idea of where there's a lot of energy. For example, in this picture, you see there's a good amount of energy on the west side of this trough. You'll also notice that the isobars, those lines of constant pressure, are a lot closer together on the west side. Now when that happens, it's what's called a digging trough. If the isobars are close on the west side and there is a bit of a jet streak looking at a trough, that means this trough is going to get stronger and it's going to move south. This is what's called a digging trough. And if you watch my screen here, this is exactly what happens. The trough strengthens, meaning the isobars start to tighten throughout the entire thing, and it moves south a little bit. You see the isobars really start to tighten around 18Z, January 24th. This is Friday. And then this upcoming slide is, I think, my main definition for why this snowstorm is going to be so significant. You see right here, 12Z, January 25th. Remember, that was earlier when I said there's the majority of the storm was going to hit. New York was going to see like 0.1 to 0.2 inches per hour of snowfall. And if you look right here, so now we're in 18Z, January 25th. That would be about, wow, some math right there. 18 minus 5, 13. That's about 2 p.m. in the Northeast on January 25th. And you'll notice this jet streak right here. Now, an interesting thing about jet streaks is on this side of the jet streak, it is the upper exit region. So when you're looking at a jet streak, you call this the entrance of the jet streak and that the exit of the jet streak. If you're looking at the upper exit region, that is typically where there is going to be positive vorticity advection. If you think about it this way, right here in the jet streak, there is large values of positive vorticity. So as the winds move that to the east, there's going to be large amounts of positive vorticity advection. Now, I might be getting a little ahead of myself, and hopefully you guys can kind of understand this, but basically all you need to know is positive vorticity advection means cyclonic motion, which means storms. This is part of the omega equation and the height tendency equation. When you get positive vorticity advection moving into an area, that means that storms are going to strengthen and, well, they're going to get kicked up in the first place. And it all really comes down to vorticity. So let's check out the vorticity. You can actually see the isobars a little bit better on this map. Again, this is back to 12Z on the 23rd. And you can see how much closer those lines are on the west side of the trough. So clicking through here, remember what I said, if the bars are closer on the west side, the trough is going to get stronger, it's going to deepen, and it's typically going to move south. And that is exactly what happens. You see those higher values of positive vorticity. Looking down here, that would be about maybe 30 to 35 in some areas. And positive vorticity is usually at a maximum along the trough axis. So as you see, the isobars are still tighter on the left, so this continues to deepen until about 6Z the 24th. I think that's when we start to see it move back up north again. And let's get to 18Z on the 25th. And you can see extremely high levels of positive vorticity. Again, positive vorticity, think strong storms. When you mix that with the Arctic air that is being pulled down, you're going to get lots of snow. Now, why is that Arctic air getting pulled down? Well, around the low pressure system, you're going to get counterclockwise motion. That means on the west side, you're typically going to get that cold air pulled down from the north. That's going to bring the Arctic air into areas like New York, Pennsylvania. And then on the east side of that low pressure system, which is actually right over the Gulf current, which is pretty significantly warmer than the continent at this time, you're going to have the airs pushing up. Think of the anticyclonic motion. You're going to have the air winds bringing that warm air up, which is warm air advection, which also leads to storms. So, looking at kind of the image that sums up the storm, we're going to see 20 to 22 inches of snowfall in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and even some parts of Maine. I obviously trust your guys' local opinion much more than my own. This is actually the first forecasting video I've done, so sorry if it was not too good, but I promise you I will get better. If there's ways you think I could get better, please leave a constructive comment, and also comment what you think this storm's going to do. I value your local opinion, maybe even more than my own or the models. Definitely more than my own, actually. So, please comment and subscribe to my channel for more weather information. Thanks for watching.